I didn't expect my life to change on my birthday, especially not because of a joke I made while trying to hide how lonely I felt. The office was quieter than usual that morning, the kind of silence that makes you notice things you normally ignore, like how the fluorescent lights hum, or how your footsteps echo when you walk past cubicles that don't belong to anyone anymore. I had turned 29 that day, and for the first time, the number felt heavy. No partner. No big celebration. Just another year added quietly, like a file placed into a drawer no one ever opens. My boss, Elena Carter, had already wished me a happy birthday with her usual professional smile. She was everything I wasn't: confident, composed, successful. People said she was intimidating, but I'd always noticed the softness in her eyes when she thought no one was watching. At lunch, the team surprised me with a small cake. Everyone laughed, clapped, took pictures. Then one of my co-workers shouted, "Make a wish." And without thinking, without planning, maybe without realizing how desperately I wanted something to change, I looked at Elena and said with a grin, "Will you marry me?" The room exploded with laughter. Someone almost dropped their coffee. I laughed too, trying to play it off. But then, Elena didn't laugh. She smiled, slowly, thoughtfully, and said, "What if I say yes?" The laughter died instantly. The room froze. My heart forgot how to beat. For a moment, I thought she was joking back, matching my humor. But her eyes weren't joking. They were searching my face, as if she was asking a question far deeper than my careless words. I stammered something stupid, everyone awkwardly laughed again, and the moment passed, or so I thought. But the rest of the day felt different. Every glance between us lingered too long. Every silence felt loaded. When the office finally emptied and I was packing my bag, Elena asked me to stay behind. Her voice was calm, but my hands were shaking. She closed the door to her office, leaned against her desk, and said softly, "You know, some jokes are just truths wearing a mask." I didn't know what to say. She told me about her loneliness, about how success had cost her relationships, about how birthdays were painful reminders that time doesn't wait. She asked me if I had meant it, even a little. And that's when I admitted the truth, that I admired her, that I respected her, that maybe, somewhere deep inside, I had hoped she would say yes. She didn't answer right away. She simply said, "Think about it. Because if we cross this line, it won't be a joke anymore." I went home that night unable to sleep, replaying her smile, her words, her tone. And as the screen fades on this chapter, remember, sometimes the smallest moments change everything. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe, because what happens next will surprise you. Chapter 2. The days that followed felt like walking on a tightrope stretched between fear and hope. Elena was professional in public, but in private, something had shifted. We started talking, not as boss and employee, but as two people stripped of titles and expectations. Coffee after work turned into long walks. Long walks turned into shared confessions. I learned about her failed engagement, the betrayal that made her build walls so high even she forgot what was on the other side. She learned about my insecurities, my fear of being ordinary, my habit of using humor to protect myself from rejection. One evening, she admitted that when I joked about marrying her, it wasn't the words that shook her, it was the sincerity hidden beneath them. But the world isn't kind to unconventional love. Rumors started. HR notices appeared. People whispered that I was climbing the ladder through romance, that she was having a midlife crisis. The pressure was relentless. Elena offered to step back, to protect my career, to pretend it never happened. And that's when I realized how deeply I cared. I told her I didn't want safety, I wanted honesty. We decided to face it together. She disclosed our relationship officially. I transferred departments. It wasn't easy, but it was real. Months later, on a quiet evening, the same date as my birthday, she took my hand and said, "This time, I'm not smiling as a joke." She got down on one knee. The woman who once asked, "What if I say yes?" was now asking me the same question. I said yes before she finished speaking. Love didn't arrive loudly for us. It arrived patiently, imperfectly, bravely. And as the story closes, remember this: sometimes destiny hides inside a joke, waiting for courage to turn it into truth. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or made you believe in unexpected love, subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because the next story might just change your life too. Marriage didn't quiet the noise around us, it changed its pitch. The whispers that once followed us through office hallways softened into distant echoes, replaced by a different kind of pressure, expectations. People wanted our love to be a headline or a lesson, a cautionary tale or a fairy tale, anything but the ordinary, fragile thing it really was. Elena and I learned quickly that love born in the spotlight must fight twice as hard to survive in the shade. Our mornings began with shared coffee and honest check-ins, no titles, no defenses, just two people choosing each other before the world could ask for explanations. Some days were easy: laughter over burnt toast, quiet drives with the radio low, her head resting against my shoulder as if it had always belonged there. Other days were storms. She worried I'd regret the sacrifices, I worried she'd resent the scrutiny. We argued, not loudly, but deeply, about balance, about ambition, about how to protect something tender without locking it away. The turning point came when a former colleague leaked an old clip of my birthday joke online. It went viral overnight, twisted into mockery, framed as a stunt. The comments cut fast and careless. Elena found me staring at the screen, jaw tight, hope thinning. She took the phone from my hands and said, "We don't owe the internet our truth." Then she did something extraordinary: she chose vulnerability. Together, we shared a simple message, not defensive or dramatic, just honest. Love had surprised us, and we chose it anyway. The storm passed, as storms do. What remained was stronger than before. Months later, on my next birthday, there was no cake in an office, no audience waiting to laugh. Just Elena, a candle, and a smile that carried the memory of a question once asked in jest and answered with courage. She whispered, "Thank you for asking," even as a joke. I kissed her and realized the real miracle wasn't that she said yes, it was that we kept saying yes, every day after. If this chapter resonated with you, if it reminded you that love grows through honesty and choice, subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because the next story might begin with a laugh, but it could end with everything.